And to extract the countries and continents using the latitude and longitude, we would first want to import the libraries that we're going to use to achieve this. So as a habit, I like to put all my libraries at the top. So I am going to import the libraries for extracting the countries and the continents. So the library I'm going to use is called GeoPy. GeoPy. Extra.rate limiter. So I need to input the rate limiter because otherwise the my API calls get timed out. And I'm going to need to install PyCountry convert since I haven't installed it in the past. Okay, and that was done. And now I will, so to demonstrate, how to use GeoPy, I have already pulled up their documentation. So, we have the latitude and longitude, so we'd probably want to find the address corresponding to a set of coordinates. So here you can see that we can import nominatum and then use that. We need to specify user agent to get the geolocator, and then use geolocator.reverse by feeding it in the latitude and longitude to get the location. And once we get the location, we can look at location raw, which is going to be a dictionary containing a bunch of information that we could use. So let's just get one example here from our training data frame, so we can just test out to see if it works. So here I just got the latitude and longitude for the first instance in our training data frame. And I'm going to use the geolocator here in the similar format. I'm just going to copy this real quick, since I already imported this. And I'm going to, you can just call the user agent anything you want. And I'm also going to specify a timeout. And I will need to use a rate limiter, actually, in addition to the geocode, because I have 1,500 instances that I need to call the API. And if I don't use the rate limiter, it's going to time me out. The API will be loaded with my API calls. So I'm going to use reverse. Okay, and then I will find location using my geocode by passing in the latitude and longitude as a list. And let's just see what this gives us. All right, so it gives us, when we print out location.raw, you can see it is a Python dictionary containing a lot of information, of which there is one Python key called address, which contains another dictionary with the address information. So within this, we can find the country code, which is what we want. And to get the country code, we can just use Python dictionary indexing. So we can do location raw address to get the address, and then index again into the inner dictionary to get the country code, which is DE here, as expected. All right, so now that we know this works, I am going to create two reusable functions to get the country and the continents. So we know that we want to pass in the latitude and longitude as a list here. So I am going to define a function called extract countries, which will take in a locations list as parameters. And here I'm going to create a new list for storing the countries. And I'm going to loop through each of the location in the locations list. And essentially just call this function, right? All right, let me just copy this real quick. All right, so when I loop through each location, I'm gonna get a new geolocator. I am going to use a rate limiter in case I get I overload the system with my API calls, and then I will pass in the location as a parameter to the geocode to get the location, right? So let me just change this to a different name. Right? So now we can get the country, which is this bit, which is located raw address and the country code, right? But remember earlier that some of our instances have not a number for latitude and longitude. So our code should probably account for that, because when we pass in a location as not a number, this is going to throw an error. All right, so I'm going to say option 0 or so this is saying if the latitude, which is at location 0, is not a number, or if the longitude, which is at location 1, is also not a number, then I'm going to just put the country as unknown. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to use geocode to get location, right? And then what if the locate is none? What if we cannot locate? Is none. No. Then that means our country is at Antarctica. This is included in their documentation. And then if address is in the key and the country code is in the key within the address dictionary, then we're gonna get the country, right? Then we're gonna get the country. And I think that should be it. If it doesn't work, then we'll just say country is unknown. And to give it a better format, I think I am going to change everything to uppercase. Just make sure that I'm in the for loop. Yes, I'm in the for loop, but outside of the else statement. And then I am going to append the country into the countries list. And once I'm done with the for loop, I am going to return my countries list. But before that, I want to assert the two lists are of the same size. Then change list. And if they are of the same size, then let's return our countries. All right. So this is our function to get the countries. And let's just call this function on our training data frame first. So to do that, I need to first create a locations list. Longitude value. And let's just take a look what this locations list looks like. I mistyped. So we have location chain locations. So now I'm gonna call the function to get the chain countries. What is my function? By passing in my chain locations. And take a look. Okay, so this is gonna take a minute. While that runs, I am going to add a few things that I would want to do after this is completed. So the first thing I would probably want to do is to confirm that the train countries is the same size as my train data frame. And if this assertion was successful, then I would probably want to add a new column called country in my chain data frame by assigning the chain countries to this new column. And we'd probably, once we do that, then we'd probably want to take a look at this column. Okay. While we're waiting for this, let's go ahead and define another function which we can use to extract the continents. So to extract continents, I will be using country convert. Let me just pull up the documentation. Country convert. Yeah, so we would want to use country convert the country alpha2 to continent code function to convert the country code to continent code. Okay. So, oops, my function here. let's define another function called abstract continents. And here we will pass in a countries list, right? Because we would want to use the countries list, which contains the countries code, and pass that into this country alpha2 continents code function. So first, I need to create a list to store my continents. And I want to loop through my countries list. What do I want to do here? So if my country is unknown, remember I put everything to uppercase. So it's going to be uppercase here. Then if my country is unknown, of course, my continent is also unknown. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to call this function by passing in the country and assign that as a continent. Okay. And once I do that, I want to append my continent into my continents list. And similarly to this previous function, I would want to return my continents list. But before I do that, I want to assert that the two lists are of the same size. List, and then I will return continents. Okay, this is still not done, so I will pause the recording real quick, and I will be back when this is finished. All right, so that finished just under 9 minutes. From here we can see, the country code seems to have been extracted successfully, and let's just assert that is correct. All right, so now we have put the train countries into the train data frame as a new column called country, and we can look at the value counts. Just take a quick scan here. We see that there are 17 unknown, which is what expected from what we discussed earlier, that there were 17 instances where latitude and longitude were missing. Okay, and to get a better idea, let's just take a look to make sure that the ones with unknown country are indeed the ones with missing latitude and longitude. Latitude, longitude, and country. Okay, let's get the yeah, we can see here that all the ones with the missing country is the ones with the missing latitude and longitude. So this is expected. And since we already did this function, wrote this function for extract continents, I'm just gonna execute this code chunk, and we're gonna get the continents now. And so what do we want to do? We want to do train continents equal to extract continents by passing in our string lists. train countries list. And let's just take a look at our train continents. This was very quick. And similarly, we'd want to assert that the size of train continents is the same size as train data frame. F I equal sign, and the assertion was correct. So now we want to create another column in the train df as continents by assigning train continent list to it. Okay. So as a side note, this assignment would not have been successful if the assertion threw an error here, because the list must be of the same size as the train data frame. And let's take a look at the value counts for the continents. We can see here that there are 17 against 17 unknown continents, which is as expected. There were 17 unknown countries. And we see that there are 5 in South America and 76 in, 48 in North America. So since there's only so few in South America, I'm just gonna rename them as Americas. And I'm gonna rename everything else as well, just so that it's easier to quickly identify which continents they're in. So this is similar to what I did earlier to clean up the types. And South America, EU, Europe. Asia, Africa. Okay, I think that's all. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's correct. So I'm going to run this. And then let's take a look at the value counts again. As expected, they have all been renamed, and the 2 Americas are now Americas instead of North America and South America. And let's just take one last look at the train data frame to make sure that it is what we expected. And indeed, we have the country and the continents, and you know, these do look like the countries that would belong to Europe. So these look pretty good to me. And I will then repeat the same process for the test data frame. And similarly to what we did earlier, I'm just going to create a subsection here for train df. There we go. And I can just copy. See, copied 14 cells. And paste. And I will do the same thing as we've done for test. I could have put them into, you know, a gigantic function, but I like being able to, you know, look at each one of these as I go. So this is going to take a minute to run again, but it should take less time than earlier. While it runs, I'm just going to change everything down below to test df. Okay. Let's just wait for this to run. And I will pause the recording and I will be back when this is finished. And I'm back. So this extract countries for the test data frame took almost 4 minutes, and we can see here that it has completed. So now I'm going to assert and assign the test countries as a new column in the test data frame. And then take a look at the, this new country column. And we can see that there are 6 unknown countries. And similar to earlier, I am going to take a look to make sure that, all 6 of these unknown countries is due to, the latitude and longitude being not a number, which is as expected. And then I will also run extract continents to get the continents. And similarly, I will assert that the length of the test continents is the same as the test data frame. And once I've done that, I will assign the test continents as a new column in the test data frame. And let's take a look at the value counts. So similarly, we have the South America and the North America, and I just want it to be called Americas. And I just want to rename them so that we have the full continent's name. Just the same thing as we did earlier for the train data frame. And then we'll take a look at the value counts after I'm done. And this is as expected. And take one last look at the test data frame. And this is, again, as expected. For example, Mexico is indeed in Americas. So now the train and test data frame have been cleaned. I am going to save them into cleaned CSV files for use, for future use. Train df.toCSV. This is the same process as we went over earlier in the pre-processing step. I will just copy over this file path here. And I will rename this file as clean train CSV and index 4. And the same for test. Okay, now that is done, let's go to my project folder. Again, it's going to take probably a few minutes for it to show up. And yep, we can see that the clean train data frame and the clean test data frame have been successfully saved. All right, that's it for the data cleaning step for this project, and I will see you next time.